Alright everyone, thanks for joining, and this is our first reaction video for the It's Not What You Think podcast to, all the creepy TikToks that they're trying to keep us from watching. Whether it's creepy or, whether it's enlightening, we're going to check it out. So here we go.
Does anyone want to tell me how in 1927 Universal Studios came up with this picture of the world, when the first picture of the world wasn't available until the 1960s through NASA? Almost 40 years later, how did Universal Studios know that this is what the world looked like? Especially from space, when we hadn't been to space yet. Does anyone know? Anyone want to guess?
Big surprise. A little predictive programming there.
He couldn't eat our food, couldn't eat all our food, but eventually over a period of time, he had food in the craft, which they later recovered for him. And they're pellets, that he would eat these pellets, and they would melt. As soon as they got into his mouth, they would melt. And that's another thing the doctors couldn't understand was, we tried them, they didn't melt in our mouth. Something about the saliva or the enzymes in Eva's mouth that immediately reacted with these food pellets. But he survived on these food pellets, but eventually they ran out. And now they had to figure out what kind of food he could eat. And they did. They found vegetables, certain types of vegetables. I don't remember the vegetables, but there were certain vegetables and fruit that he could eat and could survive on. And he could survive on our water. But eventually, he succumbed to something, and I'm not sure. In 1952, when he died, they figured out why.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I believe all that bullshit. Lots of psyops within psyops, bunch of disinformation out there, but could be.
He said, and folks, it's not a conspiracy or a theory when the people behind it are telling you out loud what they intend to do. He heads up this World Economic Forum. They meet yearly in Davos, Switzerland, as you mentioned. But 2030 has been laid out by these great resetters like Klaus Schwab as a pivotal year for their agenda. Why is 2030 such a big deal for them?
Yeah, well, I think Sam could speak a little bit more to this, but my initial thoughts for me is, they've got a plan. But, if you look at everything that's going to happen, the writing on the wall, so to speak, it really points towards that being more so a 10-year plan as opposed to something they could just do right away. One of the things that we've discovered as we've been covering this topic the last 4 or 5 years is these guys are master psyops individuals. Mass psychology, they're masters at figuring out what they have to say, what narrative they have to push, what lever they have to pull to get everybody on board with their ideas. Right. And they understand that it's going to be a long process, and it's going to probably resonate with the younger generation, which is why, him being 30, me being 28, we're so passionate about this because, we got to stand up. We can't just allow our generation to be taken hostage by ideologies that not only hurt Scripture, not only hurt the teachings of Jesus, but also hurts our personal freedom. So I do believe that's kind of the famous saying is by 2030 you will own nothing and you will be happy.
You will own nothing and you will be happy. That's straight from the horse's mouth, from the World Economic Forum.
That's the motto. That's the theme of the Great Reset. So the World Economic Forum released, I believe it's a 2-3 minute video where it made some predictions, critical predictions by 2030.
Unfucking real.
One of the main key thing is you will own nothing and you will be happy. And it's interesting. There's a man who's smiling. He's very peaceful. He's calm. He's got this really bright grin. And with the caption of "You will own nothing and you'll be happy."
Well, how does that work in their view? You will own nothing yet you'll be happy. What does that exactly mean?
So they believe in a shared economy, meaning that everyone's going to rent out things, right? So a lot of individuals who criticize people like us who say that's not a good thing. They're saying, well, what if it's a world where it's a lot like Uber, where people don't own their cars, they take an Uber. But my counter argument to that is, well, the Uber driver owns the car, so there's got to be some people who own something. And so if we don't own anything, then well, who will?
Digital ID, which you mentioned, Daniel, and digital currency, two concepts that are also very central to the Great Reset agenda. The digital currency, you can see the seeds for that being laid right now. And digital ID as well. Vaccine mandates, I think, were a step in that direction during COVID.
Right.
How far down the line are we towards a digital currency, number one, and perhaps even digital ID?
Yeah, so in regards to CBDC, which stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. So what that is, you may have heard of Bitcoin, DeFi, right? Decentralized finance. Bitcoin, Ethereum, these are blockchain technology-backed currency, which in essence could be a good thing. What the government and the central banks are trying to do around the world is harness that technology to then be able to create a centralized form where all transactions, whether it's made online when you go to the store or you go shop on Amazon, could be thoroughly monitored, it could be recorded. So the central banks want to design this, and typically they always seem to have a good reasons as to why. They have a list of good reasons. Hey, here's why this is going to be amazing. It's going to make transactions efficient, be less costly. We can do cross-border transaction, which actually feeds right into the narrative of eliminating sovereignty borders and making really the world one government. But the central bank digital currency, CBDC, the threat of that, it has actually really good ties to the digital IDs because they want to give you money, or they want people who deserve, based on their standards, to have control over their money. So if they don't like what you did or didn't like what you said about them, they can shut your money down or put an expiration date on it and say, hey, your money is only good for the next 30 days, spend it wisely, and just completely shut your account down. And we've seen what happened in Canada with the trucker protests, donations, closing like that, and they're taken away.
Well, to give you an update, it was one of the first things the Biden administration started working on and developing when he first got in office. Literally one of the first initiatives was we got to develop this thing, and
the digital currency,
the centralized
a cashless society seems to be the end game.
And not only that, but as Sam said, it is control. But I believe the primary reason why they're wanting to roll this out so quickly is to create a global economy, a globalized economy, because that's really the step right before a globalized government.
Now, some very powerful global players led by the World Economic Forum and with the enthusiastic backing of some Western leaders, major corporations, and the UN are openly promoting this radical transformation of society.
Man. 2030. The Great Reset. Klaus Schwab. What an elite trust fund piece of shit. Honestly, I can't even go into it right now. I can't stand these elite trust fund dorks.
One of the things that I learned from whistleblowers from the cabal itself is that they have to work within something they call the rules. And this is very, very important.
Revelation of
I really
method.
want to make sure that this gets into the film.
That's the main rule.
The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. Now, what do I mean by allowed to exist? I mean that they are aware that there are benevolent forces that will prevent them from achieving their goals unless we give them permission to enslave us. Now think about that. Well, I didn't give them permission. So why did they put this plan for 3 world wars on display in a book that's hanging there open behind glass in the British Museum Library of London? And those 3 world wars that they're outlining are exactly World War I, World War II, and the war on terrorism. Because the rules state that they have to tell us what they're doing. Therefore, if we allow it to happen, we have consented to tyranny, we have consented to enslavement. Now, if you get into the secret history of the cabal, this was rediscovered by Queen Elizabeth, the original Elizabeth that we've heard about from the 1500s. Queen Elizabeth's royal
1588, the
astrologer,
Spanish
John
Armada.
Dee, who is the prototype
Queen
wizard
Elizabeth.
with the long beard, the hat, and what he did was to rediscover through these ancient documents that were in the Vatican the technology of how to access what they considered to be spiritual beings that were useful to them, but what we would consider to be demonic or evil beings. These beings need to be accessed through a very complex set of rituals and ceremonies. You cannot just ask for them to show up. You have to follow very elaborate and specific protocols. if you follow those protocols, it's like having an IP address, which is what we use to go online in order to notate a website. Every website has its own IP address. These spiritual beings, such as Baal and Moloch, which they still do ceremonies for today, such as in Bohemian Grove, there is a giant effigy, stone effigy of an owl. That's the god Moloch. The god Moloch goes all the way back to Rome and Carthage, in which they were offering child sacrifices to this god in exchange for power. So John Dee rediscovered the technology of how to draw the magic circles, how to say the right incantations, how to actually do black magic on a governmental level. This is what people are going to have so much trouble with once disclosure happens, is that these people actually practice.
I mean, Revelation Method, I've been saying it. It's the main requirement of their Malachian Trust Fund dork religion. They have to tell you through symbols, through movies, through their propaganda, what they're doing or what they're going to do.
This is the Freemasons. This is Hindu. This is your spine, and that's Egyptian. That's right. Because guess what? It's called Santa Claus when he comes down the chimney and gives a gift to us. This is the Santa Claustrum. It's in your brain, and it comes down and it gives a gift to us, and it goes back up. So this is why Jesus dies at 33 years old, because it goes down your spine and back up. The Christos, or the golden oil. In Greek, Christos means gold. So the claustrum is up here. Santa goes down the chimney. That's because Jesus was in Nazareth with his mama. And then King Herod wants to kill Jesus. So Jesus must go all the way down to be born in Bethlehem. Then he goes back up. See, he's going down this river and back up, down the spine and back up. So this is Kemet in Egypt. This is the Jordan River. So the Jordan River is a little tiny replica of this, because this was the lotus flower, or your spine. So this represents your spine. If we know that this did represent your spine, which it did, then undoubtedly the Jordan River represented the spine, just like the Nile River. This is for you ignorant churchgoers, I swear. Candy cane is red for feminine, white for masculine. It's the two nerves, the Ida and the Pingala, the sun and the moon. So the Pingala is the pineal gland, that's the Ida. That's the pituitary, the negative component, and the pineal gland, the positive component. So you have the milk and honey, the gold and silver. This is the promised land. So when what's his name? Jack climbs the beanstalk. He goes up his spine and finds the golden egg in the gray clouds, which is the gray matter in your brain. Well, look, Saint Nicholas is Saint Nagalis. Naga means serpent. That's why when Thor takes the Bifrost Bridge, this is your thorax, which is 12 vertebrae. There's 12 vertebrae of your thorax, thoracic vertebrae, and there's 12 ribs on each side, 24 ribs. So there's Arthur and the 12 knights at the round table, your 12 vertebrae. Jesus and his 12 disciples. Thor takes the rainbow bridge, which is your chakras, your spine. Arthur is the only one who can lift the sword. Thor is the only one who can lift the hammer. Because you have to be worthy. Raise your frequency to go up. Pituitary gland, pineal gland, and your optic thalamus. So the energy goes down from your claustrum, the oil at least. The oil goes down the vagus nerve to the sacrum bone, where it pumps it back up. And it actually activates your third eye, and it illuminates the crown chakra. This is the Pingala and the Ida, and they mix and they come back up. And your skull is the Holy Grail, and that's why it's the elixir of life, the fountain of youth, because your skull is called a fontanelle, that little hole at the top of all the babies' heads. It's literally called a fontanelle at the top of the head, because it's the fountain. So the energy goes from the bottom to the top, and the snake grows its wings.
That was some heavy shit there. Tell me what you guys think about that one. I don't really know what to say about that. Pretty freaking interesting though. One thing's for sure. They lie about everything, and they've hijacked all ideas. Psyops within psyops.
They didn't call him dinosaur, they called him dragon. The word dinosaur wasn't made up till 1841. It's a brand new word in the dictionary. I got some old dictionaries and looked for the word dinosaur. Even in 1891, the word was not in the dictionary. They called them dragons. Bible mentions dragons 34 times. Even in the 1946 dictionary, listed as now rare. As the population of people began to grow after the flood, the population of dinosaurs began to go down. Because nobody wants to live next door to a dragon. How many grizzly bears are roaming loose in the woods right here in Bucks County? None, right? How many were there 400 years ago, you think? Probably a whole bunch of them. Gilgamesh is famous for slaying a dragon. A Chinese legend tells about a guy named Yu. It says after the Great Flood, they surveyed the land of China and divided it into sections. He built channels to drain the water off to the sea and make the land livable again. Many snakes and dragons were driven from the marshlands. This piece of pottery from Egypt shows two long-necked dinosaurs. Why would they put dragons and dinosaurs on different pieces of pottery that are found from ancient civilizations? What are these dragons? And the Bible talks about a fiery flying serpent. What is this? Herodotus in 400 BC reported the fiery flying serpents. You might want to read that story sometime. The fiery flying... Anyway, in the book of Job, it talks about out of his mouth, Leviathan, go burning lamps and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke. Alexander the Great reported dragons when he conquered part of India. Saddam spent a fortune rebuilding the ancient city of Babylon. On the ancient Babylonian walls, which they rebuilt, they found carvings of lions and dragons. This is from 600 BC. How would they know about dragons in 600 BC? Some were still alive, still lived with man. Why would they put dragons on the walls of the city, the Ishtar Gate in Babylon? It's over there right now if you want to go see.
The Ishtar Gate. The wife of Moloch is Ishtar. Really look into that. It's pretty crazy when you realize that the devil is just a construct and the real bad guy is Moloch and Ishtar. The Babylonian Brotherhood.
I'm sorry, is there someone talking to you?
Yes, sorry.
Sorry about that. So I just was wondering how everyone's doing. Hello, Courtney. Have we lost you?
Malfunction.
All right. It looks like Courtney doesn't really want to go there with that question.
So I just was wondering how everyone's doing.
Uh-oh. She's repeating.
Hello, Courtney. Have we lost?
Clone? What do you think? Oh, man. I love these ones. So interesting. What do you think's going on there? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. I tend to go with the clone theory, or...
I just found out some really disturbing things about Ellen DeGenerate, and I'm not worried about that creepy sweatshirt she's wearing. But as we watch this video, the camera creeps inside of her house, and you can see that weird Evil Thoughts picture. I looked up the artist and he's into some really satanic stuff. And that's not even the weird thing. Look at this picture of Ellen sitting inside of her home. This is the picture that was right behind her. Now look at the letters on top. These are the same letters that you write out during satanic rituals. Look at this picture of her cutting her mother's hair. Now look at the picture above her head and try and figure it out. Oh my goodness.
That red little logo that was on her shirt is the face of Wilson in the movie Castaway, and it's supposed to have some dark symbolism with that. You should look into it. I'm not going to say anything.
And she said that I said, were there situations where Hollywood execs were like, well, unless you have sex with me, you're not going to get this role? And she said yes.
Wow. And would she did she refuse everything?
It seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, well, you're like, yeah, well, yeah. And
she wouldn't name any names.
Right. But it happens. Because when you look at Hollywood, and it's Hollyweird, there's a reason for it, and I hear all these stories, and you look at some people that make it, and you go, how the fuck are they getting all this shit? Like, literally. And a lot of them are not that great. You're like, how are they getting everything? Sometimes, And you see a lot of talented people, and they're not really, you have that ceiling. You're almost there, but you can't seem to get over that hump. And then if you keep your integrity, it just takes a little longer. Fine. I'm that dude. I don't have it in my makeup, in my DNA, to have somebody put their finger in my ass. That's just not. They go, dude, listen. All I have to do, let me put my finger in your ass. Just let me go like that. Just like that. I'm gonna go just like that. And guess what? You're gonna be the new Iron Man. Come on, just let me, and maybe 3 fingers. Just let me go like that for about 5 minutes. Let me do this.
Dave Chappelle made a joke about that on his Netflix special. And remember, he was like the Harvey Weinstein thing. He was like, "Come on over, I'll put you in all the Lord of the Rings." Like, all right, fine.
He's like this. Guess what? You will be fighting Darth Vader if you let just put your dick in my eyeball. That's all. Just boink boink, poke it a couple times, and you're gonna be fighting Darth Vader. I swear to God. Just boink boink. Just put your balls just on my chin. Come on, teabag me just 3 dips.
3 dips.
I swear to God.
Maybe 4. But
I swear to God, and it'll be you.
It keeps going up and up.
It'll be you and Nicole. Okay, wait. Okay, smack my ass. I lick your balls 3 times, and it's you and Nicole Kidman in that book. I swear to God. I swear. You see, I don't have it in me to, and I think people get a certain energy when they know they can't fuck with certain people. They get a certain energy. They go, nah, we can't even. That ain't even happening. You know what I mean? It's when
Like I said, if you don't play ball, you don't get propped up. So think about all the stars and all the celebrities that you worship and all the people that get real big real fast. Did they take a deal? Did they make a deal? Like the Little Mermaid, Ariel, to get what she wanted?
Exposes Mark Zuckerberg live on television.
Okay, you want to take off the hoodie?
No, I never take off the hoodie.
I know you don't. What's with that? There's a group of women in the audience that wish you would.
No.
Girls?
Whoa. Maybe I should do.
Take off the
Go
hoodie.
ahead. That's a company hoodie. We print our mission on the inside.
What? Look at that. Making the world open and connected. Stream graph platform and this weird symbol in the middle that is probably for the Illuminati.
Probably. Definitely the Illuminati. Definitely. We all know the story of Facebook is bullshit. Complete fabrication. Came out the same day the CIA stopped their little deal. How convenient. Tell me what you guys think in the comments.
Agent Smith effect. If you're talking to somebody like a friend or a family member about what you saw on TV, everybody's having a great conversation about it. But as soon as you stop and talk about is 9/11 a conspiracy or what they're putting in our food is poison, all of a sudden that person will then change and they'll almost become like a prison guard to stop you from talking about those topics. It's like this matrix programming takes over their body.
Man, is that so true or what? These are called black belt conversations and people just can't have them. They just can't have them. They break down. They get all triggered. They start defending people they don't know. It's absolutely ridiculous. Whoa.
Well, we have we're in a very good position to talk about what's going on in the job market. We work with a lot of Fortune 1000
What the heck?
and we get a good pulse on what.
Blink, bitch! That cat was doing the moonwalk. And she's gone. Oof. Teleport after teleport. What do you think is going on there? A glitch in the Matrix? Some sort of time travel? Teleportation to another realm? Magic? What do you think's going on there? I tend to think, I don't know what the heck's going on
Jesus
there.
Christ, the Adam and Eve video. I watched a video on that this morning. There could be a time where the magnetic poles actually shift.
This is science. They say that the last one was like 778,000 years ago, and we're like
This is
200,000
science.
years overdue. But the Adam and Eve story, the theory of that is that it happens in cycles of 6,500 years, and that it's a 90-degree flip, But 6 days later, or on the 7th day, it corrects itself.
Planet flips.
Correct. It's a planet flip 90 degree, and that because of it, the Earth essentially doesn't stand still. The sun will be basically stay in the same spot, causing heating like we've never experienced,
that can't
and that
be
the
proven.
wind and the waters continue with their momentum. Because essentially the wind travels at approximately 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. So the theory is that when that event happens, it's going to be cataclysmic.
Oh my God. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate everyone tuning in. And I will see everyone soon. Please check out the It's Not What You Think podcast on YouTube, and it'll be on Spotify soon. And you know, hey, stay the course. You know, don't be afraid to have black belt conversations with your friends. 100%. Take care. Much love. God bless.